We're live. It says we're live.
We're live.
I assume that's true.
I can hear you and see you.
That's because you're in the same room.
Oh, yes.
Oh, thanks, Neptune X. Hasn't got time to hang around, but loves my battle reports. Have a good one. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
So, wow. We're also joined by Lemmy on the table here. You can't quite see.
Lemmy's clingy.
So we've got Crimson Shoulder and Hand. Lemmy's
bottom.
Lemmy's just sort of there. I did an entire unboxing video the other day, and Lemmy's pretty much in the entire thing. I have to work around her. She's very clingsome at the moment. Yes, so it has been a goodly long while since we've done one of these for a whole number of reasons. I would say we'll follow the usual format, but the usual format is to talk about what I've been doing recently, then talk about the subject, and then to bemoan the state of my mind. What comes after the subject? Questions. So my partner in crime is going to be taking down questions from the chat and popping them on at the end. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to talk about, whack it in. And
doesn't have to be relevant. Can be anything within reason. Can be anything. Please ask questions. Makes me feel worthy.
So, yes, it has been a very long time since we've had one of these. So the last two of these we've done, we have been beset with technical difficulties.
Dear.
And since then, my old router has had...
That's not me, by the way.
You're not my old router.
I'm not your old router.
My old router. My old router has had an accident with a polo mallet and a metaphorical polo mallet. My router's been replaced, and my broadband speed's upgraded. The other problem that has existed is that the laptop is doing some kind of weird sync where it's downloading everything from the cloud, and I can't seem to get it to not want to sync all the pictures in the cloud onto the laptop. I seem to have... Oh, sorry, I've inhaled a bit of Lemmy first. She's moving around and she's molting something rotten. I've got fur at the back of my throat. What was I saying?
Wow.
Oh, goodness me.
Thick and fast.
You blink for 2 minutes. Lexica says, welcome back, dude. Glad to see you and Lady Crimson, of course, back live and streaming.
Oh, I'm pleased to be back too.
And then Thunderbolt wants to know, and she has super chatted this. Wants to know. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, so I don't want to presume it to him, but it's probably a he.
Right.
Thunderbolter.
Thunderbolter.
I don't know who you are, Thunderbolter. That's why. What's your favourite cheese for you both? Well, my favourite cheese is Cambozola, which is a very soft blue brie. What's your favourite cheese?
My favourite cheese is probably mozzarella. The ball in the water in the... I know I'm doing the ball action. The ball...
Ixnay on the all-action base.
Stop now. The ball that you have to drain and then you slice it up. It's really good on pizza. That is my favourite cheese. It's not half as posh as his favourite cheese, But that's my favourite.
Buffalo mozzarella.
Yes,
so
that's it. Buffalo mozzarella.
So Thunderbolt is
Thank
formerly
you.
Eldar blog.
He's changed it. He went undercover then, didn't
I
he?
know. Right, so I'm not. So you're doing the question. You're going to catch the questions, aren't you? From on there.
No, not doing it tonight. No,
Good.
I refuse.
Right, fine.
It's not happening. All right, then I will. All right.
Where was I up to? Oh yeah, so the laptop seems to want to either have all of the pictures I've ever taken on the laptop as well as the cloud, which is destroying all the size and the memory and the and or just delete them all from existence, which I don't want to do. So I'm it's being a problem. Grandilio, gold coke for the Ramble God, fishes for his little cat. Thank you very much. Well, since we've been off air, she's had her birthday. I won't say what year, but she's a lady, and she had a lot of fish for her birthday. A lot of fish for her birthday. Cheers. You see, that's evidence of learning and growth. Oh, and Thunderbolter has joined level 2. Oh, we know what that means.
Lobster.
For the uninitiated amongst you, there is an informal rule which says if anyone joins the channel, whilst I'm live streaming, I have to put a plush lobster on my head. The colour of the lobster depends on the level of the thingy. Oh, I can see you saying somehow your sub was cancelled. I have no power to cancel anyone's subscription. I mean,
would you?
Nor would I. The only way I could do that is if I reported someone as like abusive, which I don't, because no one is. But no, I don't know what's gone on there. But it's great to have you back. So there was the saga of the internet being rubbish, but now I've got super fast broadband, which is supposedly a gigabyte in speed, which normally means I get something around 100 megabytes, which is normally quite good. And the upload speeds are there. So I also got an extender pod, which is just on the other side of this this wall. Yeah. And I can see Lexicus is doing his 19-month member chat for a plug. Now, joke's on you. I was going to plug this anyway. So I'll read it out now and come back to it.
How to win friends. Thank you, Mick.
What she said.
I love him.
Phone needs to go on mute.
What are you doing?
I'm putting my phone on silent. So yes, then came after the so hang on, yes. So yes, Mick has super chatted. AOS Day in Belper on Sunday the 1st. Tickets still available. So I will plug this later on. However, I will also plug it now. So we have an event at Tabletop Events in Belper on the 1st of May. It's a community Age of Sigmar day. Not mainly, but the idea is it's chilled out and beginners very much welcome, and people can be shown the ropes and or just come along to chill out if you fancy a game of AOS. Tickets available on the Tabletop Events website, and they cost, he says, by clicking £20 for the introduction to AOS Day, is what they're calling it.
It's a bargain. And I make good tea and coffee. It's a bargain.
Well, you may not be just making tea and coffee this time.
No.
Oh, yeah, see, there's...
Spoiler alert.
I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Right, I think we're done with the lobster for now. If you want to see me put the lobster back on my head, you need to create a level 2 membership or a level 1 for a slightly smaller blue lobster.
Oh no, I'm not just making tea and coffee. I promised James cake.
There's cake.
There's cake.
Oh,
buns
wow.
and cake. I promised James and Ed buns and cake.
Haha. So then pretty much the whole family got COVID, didn't we all?
Apart from you. Did. Apart from me.
You appear to be immune.
Crew.
You appear to be utterly immune. And I didn't have it bad, but most people were over it in sort of 2 days. It took me 2 weeks. I was I was moderately poorly for 2 weeks. I felt really rubbish. And it was almost to the day when they brought out the new list of symptoms. And I went down the list and I'm like, yeah, got that one. Had that one. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. So, not very pleasant, I have to say. But fighting fit and fighting fit now, which is great. So I had a bit of. It came as that I had to cancel a whole bunch of games I had arranged, and I wasn't able to do solo hammer, so I got massively behind on the stuff for the YouTube. And I think we actually had 1 week where I didn't put up a members video, so not great. But that is hopefully in the past now, although I am still playing catch up because I was having to catch up. And then catching up with work, and it just put such a spanner in my work. So that the gardening took a 4-week hit. I don't know. I do like having a nice tidy garden. So then we had a couple of days away, but that's not relevant to the hobby. There is a relevant thing. I've had a secret hobby project, which I'll talk about in a little minute. So over the course of Easter, the Easter break, which we've just had. What did I do? I managed to get 2 games in.
We went away, didn't we?
Yeah, we did go away. We went for a couple of days.
Away.
Went to the seaside. I managed to get a game with James from March of War. He brought a huge quantity of Tyranids. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do before, so we said, I'll just bring 10k and we'll work it out from there. He turned up with crates and crates and crates of Tyranids. And we did a battle report with the new Codex. We decided to do a matchup that you don't see very often: Tyranids versus Orcs. We said, well, Orcs are always spoiling for a fight, and Orcs are biomass. So, result. So, absolute result. So yeah, that was a good game. We that took a long time to play, but was enormous fun. So that was good.
Sorry, that wasn't as quiet as I thought it would be.
No.
Sorry.
You can't get the staff. I also finally managed after much jiggling of diaries and so on. I actually went for a trip down to Swindon and saw the venerable Mr. Winters a few days ago. And we played a game of Warhammer 40,000, which is going up at some point on his YouTube channel. I took my Black Templars and faced off against his Death Guard. That was fun. It's always fun playing Winters. He is enormous fun to play against. Really cool guy. Then on Saturday, I had a brand new guest in the studio, someone who has not appeared on camera before. Well, her right shoulder and right hand has appeared on camera before, but not the rest of her. And
that's me.
That is you!
In the garage!
That is you!
Oh, gosh.
I was building up to that, but okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. It's fine. It was her. So since a little bit before Christmas, people have been requesting Crimson Learns Warhammer. So we decided we were going to do it. And no, it's not Crimson 40k. It's Crimson Warhammer. So a few weeks back, we had a few people around and we played Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And for one reason or another, you weren't able to play. You turned up. You said, "Oh, I had hoped to have a try of it." And it was at that point I hatched a secret, devious plan to paint a Hedonites of Slaanesh army for you to play, for you, so that you've got an army to play with. And I've been furiously painting that since mid-February in secret, hiding models every time you came around, and not sharing any painting pictures with you. That was getting a bit suspicious. What are you working on now?
Yeah.
And I was just ducking into there, trying to find anything that was half painted that I could pretend I was just painting.
Yeah, we have this thing where I say, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm painting." I say, "Oh, show me." And that wasn't happening.
Oh, yeah. That's because I was painting an army for you in secret.
Oh, it was very nice.
And so we, the army was revealed on Saturday morning. I will say the paint was still wet on one of the characters at the time. I really pushed the envelope on getting them all done. I did 4 units in the last 24 hours. Luckily, I'd done a lot of the large units earlier on, the larger, more complicated ones.
Paint was still wet.
Well, I'd finished putting it. Well, you rang in the morning telling me because you had an appointment to go and keep, and you're saying, "Oh, I'll be along after that." I was still painting whilst we were talking on the phone. I was on loudspeaker, still painting. Still very much painting. And my parents rang up and said, "Oh, can we have a chat?" I said, "As long as you don't mind me painting." So we recorded the first episode on Saturday morning. The idea is that first off, I say we chose, but I chose AOS because it's a much more straightforward game to learn. I mean, we've had lots of conversations about the state of 40k and complexity and so on, and I thought I just can't countenance introducing someone who is brand new, not just to to Warhammer, but also to the hobby in total, to the hot mess that is 40k with all the rules everywhere and so many things to look up in different places. And so I thought, right, AOS, much more straightforward, much more streamlined, much more fun. And I knew that Crimson liked Demonettes, so went for a Hedonites of Slaanesh army, painted 1,000 points worth of mortal followers and a couple of demon units, because the way they work, and we haven't got this far in the videos yet, but basically the way all of the god forces work in AOS is there are certain conditions that allow you to build up points during the game, and they are basically summoning points. So, for example, whenever a Khorne unit destroys, and when a unit dies in a game with a Khorne army, you get a point. When a spell is cast or unbound in a Tzeentch army, you get a point. In a Slaanesh army, it's in the battle shock phase. If something has taken a wound but isn't dead, you get a point for each unit that's taken a wound, a point of damage. Basically, you spread the suffering out. With Nurgle, it's about board control. And when you get to certain points at the end of the movement phase, I want to say it might be the hero phase, but I want to say end of the movement phase, you can spend points to summoning units. So I wanted to make sure that there were some demon units available to summon points in, to use that part of the rules to summon demons. And it also means that Crimson can paint her demons to add to the army. That's the cunning plan. So what we did in the first game, which is going up in the members lounge this coming weekend, is we use, because when we've learned games together in the past, we've started with the core mechanics of the game, played those a couple of times. We did this with X-Wing, didn't we?
We did.
Played those a couple of times until we were used to them. And then when we were used to them, started adding more of the rules from the game in. And again, add something in, play it a couple of times until we're used to it, then add something else in. So what we started with on Saturday was just the basic rules on the card and the basic turn sequence. Move, shoot, charge, fight, battle shock, ignoring the hero phase. And just using the numbers on the cards. So none of the special rules on the cards, none of the this unit gets +1 to such and such, or this unit can advance, can run and still shoot, or this unit has a ward save of X against something else. We just use the information in the little circle and the weapon profiles. And we played a few games like that with roughly matched armies on a very simple table with a very basic objective to get you used to the mechanics of playing. What we're going to try and do in the next episode is layer in the other special rules on the cards. Then once we're used to that, we'll move on to the alliance abilities, command points, and the actual mission, the various missions. And the plan is to build it up that way. So episode 1 of that is coming up on this weekend. Then the following weekend, the Sunday, is the AOS event in Tabletop Events, which you're coming to, and you're going to bring your army, and we're hoping that we'll be able to get you enough experience to be able to play a game when you get there. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Not committing to anything because there's a lot of content to record and a lot of things to learn. But what we might end up doing is playing a game together, or some doubles or something. Because that event I will be bringing an army to. We have a membership. We've got Kevin Cadfael. Member for 18 months.
Oh, Kevin.
I know it's a few months away, but will Fulminatus versus Night Lords be back for a match for 2 years, after 2 years on the channel? Maybe that's not a bad idea. 2-year anniversary, Fulminatus versus Night Lords. With a bit of luck, we'll have a Chaos Codex by then. If we haven't got a Chaos Codex, no, we won't. We'll be doing something else to note the anniversary, but potentially. GW have started to drip feed out information about the Chaos Codex. We had something about the stat line of legionaries. Come on, brain. So who knows how long it will be before we see that codex? I don't know. I know we're getting the Chaos Knights Codex in the not too distant future. They've already started to put lots of stuff out about that. So that's definitely going to be a thing. They've also started putting the Imperial Knights stuff out. I half expected the Knights to have a combined codex with lots of shared weapons and shared stratagems and so on. That would have made sense to me to have Knights as one book. I don't think they're doing that. So where did I segue to that? Oh yes, it was off the back of Kev's chat comment. Oh, the arthritis. One of the things that the COVID's done is it's reactivated my arthritis, because I have an immune system-based arthritis where my white blood cells are basically crap and don't know friend from foe. And whenever I get any kind of bug, my immune system kicks my joints, and that's still lingering after the COVID. So quite sore moving around. Anyway, that is very much a digress, Cian. So that, yes. So the so if you're an AOS player or curious to see AOS, and you're not already doing anything on the 1st of May, get yourself to Tabletop Events. Get onto the Tabletop Events website. Get yourself a ticket.
Come and play with me.
Yeah. Arr, yeah.
Please.
Don't worry, I'll tell you after.
All right. Okay.
He tells me.
Oh, I see.
Yes, secret squirrel. Oh, cat's moving. Where's she going? You can see her here. It's just here. Hello. Oh, no, she's just sitting up. Just wants a fuss.
Secret squirrel.
Oh, dear. So.
Thought you and Kieran might double up with me and Paul, Mick.
Did you?
Yeah.
New news. Don't know what I'm taking yet, because I'm disinclined to take the Night Haunts because they haven't got a book out. Unless, of course, their book comes out between now and then. What was I saying?
Get yourself over to Tabletop Events if you...
Thank you. That's jogged the old memory. So yeah, disinclined to take Night Haunts if they are if they've not had their new book and the new book is imminent. Also, Gloomspite Gates, which I also have, are quite old, and I have got 2 armies that have got a current book. Well, 3. I've at the moment I've got to as a functioning addict, I think I've got 5 Stormcast Eternal armies, none of which are playable. They also have a current book. Did you get attacked with fur up the nose?
I did. Oh.
She furred your nose. So it'll be either Maggotkin or the Orcs, I think. But I've played the Orcs a lot recently. I fancy something new. But that's by the by. Also did a bunch of... I said a bunch. I did some unboxing videos and some review videos. One of the review videos, quite ironically, I did when I didn't realize I had COVID. I thought, I'm feeling awfully rough. Oh, this isn't a great video. I've got a bit of a cough. I think I even said, don't worry, the test tells me it's not COVID. It didn't tell me that half an hour, 6 hours later. It was saying it was very much COVID 6 hours later. When I woke up feverish at 4 a.m, going, oh, it's so cold. But you're so hot. But I'm so cold. Desperately trying to find paracetamol. I don't tend to have paracetamol in the house because the painkillers take my back are non-prescriptive. Anyway, quick, eject. The amount of fur flying off this cat is unreal.
Will you stop?
I've got to love her.
I know, but do a head. Or brush her, whichever. God. Can't breathe.
So, done a bunch of unboxing things. One of the things I've reviewed is the new, he says, not even remember what it's called, the new Thondia book for Age of Sigmar. It's basically a sort of Battles in Gur expansion pack, and it's good because there are variants for match play, narrative play, and open play in the book, all in the setting. There's a new type of beastie in there called the Kronspine Incarnate, which is basically an incarnation of the spirit of the realm of Gur risen up, and it's got some really interesting rules. The unfortunate thing with that is you have to buy the Realmscape box to get it in at the moment, which is a big box of terrain and battle mats. I'm sure it'll be a separate model at some point, but at the moment it is not, which is a shame. But in that book there is a campaign. There's a campaign, and it's 5 sequential games that tell the story, and they involve all sorts of different factions. And I have the notion I've already arranged half of it, but the plan with that is to get some folks around who have all the relevant factions to play out that campaign on camera, and have that as a members lounge exclusive. Probably the first episode will go up on the YouTubes. And I've also wanting to do another, and this is a Secret Squirrel campaign. There's a plan to do a narrative campaign for AOS over and above the thing in the Thondir. But I don't want to go into much detail about that because, well, I don't need a reason. Because I want to keep some suspense, some surprise there, for the time being, at least. And hobby-wise, that is more or less where I am up to over the last X number of weeks. I've now got I did quite well because a few months ago, some of you may recall me saying that I was planning on switching from doing random units and models here, there, and everywhere to working on projects. While the first project was meant to be my Crawl Boys, but I did have to park that because of the Head of Knights of Slanesh project. But the Head of Knights of Slanesh project was a project. I started it, I planned it, I finished it, and now I'm moving on to another one. The next one, I think, is going to be terrain for Thondian strong points, because I want to do the Thondir expansion book. I want to play that out. It looks really cool. It's got a couple of different storm hosts. It's got Uruks. It's got Bone Splitters. It's got Beasts of Chaos. It's got all sorts. Well, no, it's got those 5 things.
I just spat my blueberry out.
Well, quite.
Not afraid of you very often.
No,
I spat out my blueberry.
There's only a few circumstances in which that could be useful. It has to be said, and this is but one of them. So yeah. Oh, so looking forward to that. So yes, it's a terrain project next, because the terrain projects also often tend to play second fiddle, and I've got so much unpainted terrain, and it's really, really cool stuff, and I want to be able to use it. So I'm making a conscious effort to do a terrain project as the next project, and then I have to go on to then I'll go on to an army project. Right, there's a question just been put up, but I want to do it now. I was just gonna point you to that. So and say that we have got some more questions as well. Okay, cool. So Thunderbolter has just asked, it's perfect timing. I feel the love for 40k has fizzled. Is AOS really better? So that is a multi-layered, complex question. My enthusiasm for 40k has fizzled. It's not gone out. I very much love 40k and the setting and the game in my heart. But GW are making it harder and harder to enjoy playing it with all the changes they're bringing in. The state of the rate of change, the number of things you have to keep up with, and the fact that they now use stats to balance units rather than using points. I mean, the recent balanced data slate that came out last week came out whilst I was playing with Winters, actually. That came out, and it does a bunch of things to balance some stuff for match play. So one of the things it did was make las guns auto wound on a roll of 6 to hit, which makes them better than bolters. It means masked guardsmen las gun fire can bring down tanks, which narratively it shouldn't to either. They obviously realized they've messed up all the APs, and now they introduced to the power armored armies. Your opponent's AP gets worse, and it's like they've done one thing wrong, then another thing wrong to correct, and now they're sort of in wider zigs and zags to put more and more layers on top of things that they've done to try and correct other things that weren't right. The amount of things you have to check everywhere to play a game, I find incredibly draining. It can be fun to play, but it's not. I'm starting to feel quite a bit of pain with it, and so a number of very wise and successful YouTubers have said to me that the biggest thing to remember is don't do what you think people want to watch. Do what you want to do and enjoy doing, because then you'll be enthusiastic for it. You'll enjoy doing it. You'll want to do more of it. And your enthusiasm will show through. And at the moment, I'm absolutely loving AOS. And part of that is there's a couple of reasons for that. I've started listening to the audiobooks, and most of them have been really, really good. I mean, you have to go a long way to be as good as the 40k lore. I don't think that's a realistic prospect, but as a generic fantasy setting, I like it. I really do like it. And I like the stories, and I like the fact that the currency in all the mortal realms are basically people's souls. And when it comes to playing the game, it is really streamlined and straightforward to play, and all the information you need is in front of you. And when I'm playing AOS, I find it intuitive to play. I don't need to stop and look up a huge number of rules. And the decisions I make when playing the game feel like I am the general making tactical decisions for the army, not Paul trying to work out the rules of a game. Now, that was originally what turned me off to playing Infinity. It's a very good skirmish game. There are a lot of rules with it, and you have to know them to play them properly. And some very good friends of mine play it an awful lot, and they enjoy it greatly. I prefer, with my limited brain power that I have these days, I want to be able to put myself in the mind of the general and decide to do generally things and then be able to play it out. And AOS does that in absolute spades. There are very few instances when I think, I don't see how that could work, or I don't get this, or, you know, if you charge your heavy knights into combat, they pretty much do what you expect them to do. Things like the way you add allies in it. We were discussing this in the Discord earlier today. Matt P was saying, "Oh, I've got some units that from my Thousand Suns, from my Tzeentch, that I could use for AOS, but I don't get why the Mutalith Vortex is slaves to darkness when everything else is Tzeentch Enlightened." I said, well, it's fine. There are coalition rules with it, and it basically says for every 2 units of Tzeentch Enlightened, you can take 2 units from... Sorry, in every 4 units of Tzeentch Enlightened, you can take 2 from the Slaves to Darkness Codex. All you've got to do is give it a mark of Tzeentch. You can't have a mark of Tzeentch, you can't take it. Boom. Add a unit. Done. And they share rules. If you add it tells you what things can be in a coalition, and they inherit rules from the parent army. It's beautifully straightforward, and it really, really works. You can do it with Stormcasts and Cities of Sigmar, so you can just sort of say, yes, there are some Stormcast Eternals here if you've got a big Cities of Sigmar army, or if you've got a Stormcast army and they happen to be defending a city, you can say, yes, of course there are some Cities of Sigmar here. It's fantastic.
We've got some members.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yes, I'm really enjoying AOS, and 40k I am finding more and more of an effort to play. So that's why I am leaning towards AOS at the moment. There are, I'm sure, some 40k armies that I will still very much enjoy playing. And it all comes around. It all comes around in cycles. Just at the moment, I'm not feeling it for 40k, and I'm ruddy loving AOS. Anyway, I'm still doing 40k content. I'm still doing reviews and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, ramping up the AOS. So, Grandilio, member for 19 months. 40k 9th ed is AOS first. There's just less shouting involved. AOS first edition was a bit of a mess. That was the, here is the game, deal with it edition. And we were like, no, we don't want to measure from the models, the sword tip of the model. We want to measure from a base. No. We want to use points to build our armies. No. And guess what? They gave us points. They gave us measuring from the base. They smoothed it all out, and it's now a lovely game. And the way I...
Going everywhere. Very hairy cat.
The thing is, I railed against AOS originally because it was used to kill off Fantasy Battle, and I absolutely hated that. But in the same way as if one of your colleagues at work gets fired, it isn't the fault of the person who's hired to replace them. They're kind of innocent to it from that point of view. So I've just... Anyway. All right, Adrian Smart, member for 13 months. Hi, Paul. Hope you are well. Thank you very much. Hello, Adrian. I am well now. We're good. The COVID has been and gone, and everyone is still here. And likewise, I hope you are keeping well, sir. I hope you are keeping well. Okay. How are we doing for other questions?
Just 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes. Do you want to do the plug for the Crimson Ribbon or not?
Yes, we have the Say Hi Paul Crimson Ribbon event coming up in June on the. Let me get the dates right. Let me get the dates right. The 25th and 26th of June. There are still some tickets available. That is a 2-day narrative event based on the happenings of the war on one particular world between Chaos and the Imperium. So it's just 2 factions with the various flavors beneath. There are still tickets available. They can also be found on the Tabletop Events website. If you are interested in that, do join the Discord, because there's a lot of it being managed through the Discord, and people doing a lot of Q&A and asking questions and building their armies and a lot of lively conversation about that. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out.
Okay, are you ready? Do you want to read them, or do I?
You read them. I'm not sure about that one though.
Okay, rightio. So, Punk Rat, great name, says, while playing Orcs versus Tyranids, have you also been feeling jealous of the Horde play style that Orcs don't feel much like how they are in the lore?
So 2 bits of that. I love the Horde play of Tyranids. It definitely feels to me how Tyranids should, and I actually think the Tyranid Codex, there are some things in there that are very Ninth Eddy, and I don't like them because it's the Ninth Ed direction of change. But the Codex as a whole, I really like. I think it's really good, and I think I definitely want a Horde for when I do Tyranids. I've ordered a small combat patrol worth of models for Tyranids, and I've tried to make it quite Horde-y. It's not very Horde-y, but it's kind of Horde-y. But yes, the Orcs not being a Horde, that's really because it's really because the way I built my Orc army, it was never a Horde. My good friend Stormshroud, when he played 40k, the core of his army, when it was not in any way advantageous to do it, was 4 units of 30 boys. That was back in 4th Ed, when that really did nothing for you. My army originally started around the notion of a small group of bad moons who were incredibly rich because of all their teeth. So it's never had a huge number of boys. It's part of my ongoing ambition with so many projects. Who knows when I get to what? But I want. You see, the other thing is, then in 8th edition, it became quite festive, quite trendy to do very large Orc armies, and then I'm like, well, I'd rather stick to what I've got, because I don't want to follow the meta. So that kind of put me off a little bit. But when I'm doing Orcs now, I want them to be. I will be progressing in a Horde fashion. So my snake bites, that are the current ones that are work in progress on my shelves, just to start off with those, they've got 2 mobs of 30 boys, and then a few other bits and bobs on there, and big mobs of knobs. Don't try saying that after a couple of the shandies.
Well done.
Mobs of knobs. Yeah.
You ready?
Aaron Railways member for 10 months. Do you think the generic Chaos Legion should get heresy style units and war gear like scimitar jet bikes and Volkite weapons? Yeah. I would like to see more. So back in 2nd Ed, when they first did Chaos, they they gave Chaos the Reaper autocannon, and they couldn't take the assault cannon. And the reason for that was the Reaper autocannon was the high tech during the Horus Heresy. That was the weapon they had during the Horus Heresy. So that was the weapon they could take. Plasma cannons were only mountable on dreadnoughts, and all plasma weapons were incredibly unstable. The whole Gets Hot thing, that first originated just for Chaos just for Chaos plasma, because it was far less stable back in the day, and it was much, much, much older. So, yes, I would like to see. I think, all things being equal, I would have. Why is my brain just crashed? I've got the spinning disc. Yeah, I would like to see older, more obsolete weapons on the Chaos Marines who have different strengths. They aren't the high tech. But again, that was. So they sort of changed the law to an extent to say that actually everything stands still, weapon wise. Nothing new is created. A bolter now is the same as a bolter then. But then they threw that out the window with Belisarius Crawl coming along and making all kinds of tech heresy. So, don't know. Also, the legionaries can and do frequently rob from their enemies in battle. So, 6 one, half a dozen the other. I like the notion that you should be able to build your Chaos Marine army around either part of one of the old legions, as it shortly after the heresy, so fairly uncorrupt. Also, you should be able to build it around an entirely degenerate Chaos Force. Also, around the notion of a renegade chapter, because chapters have gone rogue, and I think a renegade chapter should look very different to a traitor legion, because there's thousands of years of difference between them, and thousands of years of different combat doctrine that have been worked into the renegade Astartes. They will follow to a greater or lesser extent, they will follow the Adeptus Astartes, whereas the legionaries don't. So that's that one. Another one, please.
Tom Bolton says, Paul, have you read the Twice Dead King series? They offer a bit more insight into Necrons and Flayed Ones.
Oh, yeah.
You may enjoy it, as it's similar to similar in the little details to the Infinite and the Divine.
Thanks, bud. I've got the first 2 books sat in my Audible library. I think it's 2 of them. I've definitely got Ruin. I think I got the second one as well. Very much looking forward to doing those. When I'm back on my Necrons, they will be the first thing that goes on the old speaker whilst I'm doing hobby. At the moment, I am just binging as much AOS content as I can because I'm loving it. So I've got them, haven't read them yet. Although I don't read anything anymore. I just get someone else to cram it into my ears for me.
Okay.
Next.
Aaron582 says, Are you hoping Chaos Undivided will become a thing again?
Yes and no. I always thought Chaos Undivided was a really dumb term to use to describe the worship of the Chaos Pantheon. But I would like to be able to differentiate between legionaries who are traitors of the Imperium, who want the Imperium to burn, and worshippers of the Chaos Gods. Quite how they achieve that, I don't know. Whether that's the worshippers of the Chaos Gods get the Chaos Undivided thing. I'm not sure, but I'd like to be able to differentiate between them. We have another chat. James Wood, member for 15 months. Shouldn't there be less legionaries now because corrupted gene seed and more renegade marines now? It depends, because a lot of the legionaries still recruit. They recruit from Worlds of the Eye of Terror. They recruit from the detritus that lives in the belly of their ships. They use their gene seed to build them. They also use any captured gene seed, because pretty much any gene seed is close enough. But they still induct them and train them in the doctrines of their legion. It's not like they take existing renegade marines, paint their armor different, and say, "You're with us now, pal." I mean, that does happen in instances, but from everything I've read, the legions still recruit. So even over a 10,000-year period, unless you're on sort of your first raid, as it were, even some of the newest legionaries will be older than the current batch of Astartes. Of course, all the time dilation is a big aspect of that, and you could make an argue for it in a whole number of ways, but I still see the legionaries being a thing. And I guess I'm biased because I like them and I want to find narrative reasons why they're still legionaries and justify it. But I think you can. So I'm good with that. Yeah.
You ready?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, Mick, gorgeous Mick, could invite a Night Lord player over for a game at, say, Hi Paul's.
Yeah, maybe. I do have my own. I'm very fond of my Night Lord army, so I would.
What does that mean?
It means if Night Lords are involved, I probably want to be playing them rather than play against them.
Isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that's not what Mick's saying.
Oh.
Mick's saying get someone over and to bring Night Lords with them. I'm like, if there are Night Lords involved, I want to be doing the flaying.
Oh, and just while we're on Mick says that he's on the last book of the Realm Gate Wars, and it's a great series.
The Realm Gate Wars are really good. The first book starts when Sigmar basically says, okay, I've built my legions and we now must invade the mortal realms to retake them from the forces of chaos. And the very first book is about the very first storm host sent down to one of the mortal realms to try and open a realm gate that's been sealed from the other side. And it's very cool. It's very, very cool. I wish I'd had the foresight to go to the Realm Gate series first, but it was James from Clash of Dice who put me onto it. He said, read this, it's great. And I'm like, oh, are these the first ones? Yes, they are. Yeah, they're good. Like those. They'll definitely be getting another listen through after I've finished. I've just listened to Lady of Sorrows and Nefreta, and I think I've got another one or two knocking about, but yeah, I might give those another run through.
Niall Walsh says, how would you play orcs so they can be competitive now but are still fun and not a buggy spam?
Not buggy spam. If you want to know how to play them competitively, I am the wrong person to ask, because I simply don't attempt to win from that point of view. From a list building and play style point of view, I attempt to win from the I'm the orc war boss throwing the lads into the fight point of view. That said, they've got some very good units. I mean, from an orc's point of view, they live to fight and they love fighting. It's how they worship their gods. So if they've had a fight, they've won. The best advice I can give from a narrative perspective is to try and get into that mindset and don't worry about whether you physically win or lose the battle. Just worry about whether you can throw orc units onto your enemy, irrespective of whether it's going to do anything, but you can yell "wow" when you're doing it, and it's glorious. If you want some how to play them competitively, you need to ask someone else. I'm not your man.
So Douglas says, I'm a guard player. I'm very unhappy with the change. They will nerf it, which means guard will be screwed and forgotten again. We will get our Codex and 2 months later the 10th edition, and then a very sad face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. I don't think that's part of my problem with the balanced slate. Is it's balancing rules for match play. It's not, but in doing so, the narrative in some instances breaks. And I think they've broken it with the guard, with their rules for las guns, and even to an extent some of the other things. But if you do get the guard, the only crumb of consolation I can give you is that if the guard codex does come 2 months before 10th ed drops, then it will have been written alongside 10th ed. So it will have been designed for the 10th edition, even though other books that have come before it, they haven't been. And that hopefully will have a positive effect. I mean, I think it's very, very unlikely GW will do another total wipe for 9th edition. I think they believe that they're getting the competitive play side of things really right at the moment. So I don't see them rowing back from that and just obliterating the whole series. And they might do that out in the following edition. I just see it being too soon for them to totally wipe and reset the slate. I'd be interested to see if they did something that leveled out all the bloat in 10th ed to say, reduce. I mean, I was speculating to myself earlier. I thought, how would I, if I was going to change this for to play things a little bit more narrative, for some of the armies that have just been given ridiculous amounts of AP for weapons that shouldn't have it, just be thinking, well, maybe just taking 1 point of AP off everything across the board is a way to do that. I'm not going to do it. It's just idle thought. But maybe in the same way they tweak points on units, maybe they'll tweak the AP and stat line of some weapons between editions. That might be a way, a fix. Don't know.
Okay, Second Born says AOS. It's not easy to say.
No, Second Born is a big AOS player, so that does not surprise me at all.
What are your current forces for AOS, and what are you doing with your Stormcasters?
Okay, so.
Oh, fingers out. Who is pointing?
So this is going to take a while. Get comfy. The ones I'm not sure about yet is I've got a large Ogre Kingdoms army, large 3,500, 4,000 points. Ogre Kingdoms army from Fantasy Battle. I am actively toying with the idea of rebasing them all and using them as ogres. So that's maybe one army. Similarly, I have a small Empire army, which I'm thinking of converting, which is a Fantasy Battle army. Thinking of converting it to an AOS army. I've got a video to make because a company has sent me some square-based to round-based converters to review, so I'm going to use those as a tester for that. So that's those. I have ended up with a lot of random bits and bobs. So a few years back, near the start of lockdown, just before the start of lockdown, it might even have been a year before lockdown. No, it was early on. Your niece was quite interested in painting some models, so I looked at what there was, and we got her the Soul Wars set and the Mortal Realms expansion, which is Stormcast Eternals and Nighthaunts. Inevitably, as is the way for many of us, that we grow out of it at that age, and so I inherited all the stuff.
Discover boys.
Well, quite.
That's what happened.
Indeed. So I've got a lot of Stormcasts of different types and a lot of duplications, and a lot of the sets I've been sent have got Stormcast in as well, and etc. So I don't feel the need to do a huge Stormcast army in one particular type. I feel much more inclined to do a number of smaller ones, different small storm hosts. So, for example, I am planning on doing the vast majority of my Sacrosanct stuff as Anvils of the Heldenhammer. It just feels so Shaiishi. I've got some Hammers of Sigmar being painted up. I think they are the poster boys. Got to have some of those, and there are special characters for those. And they have a thing about dragons. I'm like, okay, dragons. They can do all that stuff. I also want to do a few units as Knights Excelsior, because they're doing a lot of the Gur side of things. So I want to have some units there. And the thing I mentioned earlier, the Thondia narrative has got Astral Templars in there. So I have bought some Vanguard units to do as Astral Templars. So, and with all of that, I've got at least half a dozen random units left. So I may, at some random point, decide to spin them up into another little storm host, which is how I ended up with most of my 40k Marine armies. So none of those are playable yet. Most of those are assembled, but there's only one unit of those that are painted. But when we got those for Grace, I also said, well, if we're going to be playing, if she wants to paint these models and wants to play, I'll need to have an AOS army to play against, her with, to teach her the game. So I collected a small Gloomspite Gitz army, which I still have. And I have a few more boxes of them on the shelves ready to book it up a bit. So I have to Gloomspite Gitz. I've got all the Nighthaunts that came with that, obviously, and I've got Nagash sat out there. Really looking forward to doing him. I do have a dilemma as to which of the AOS armies I do next. Because I had a whole bunch of 40k Nurgle demons, and GW sent me some Maggotkin of Nurgle stuff. I've got Maggotkin of Nurgle. I've got Cruel Boys from all the various box sets because I love the aesthetic. I've also since bought some Iron Jaws and some Bone Splitters, but they're not even at the boxes yet. As part of the Mortal Realms expansion, I got a few random free Sylvaneth, so I went out and bought some more boxes of Sylvaneth. They're also on the shelves because I'm like a butterfly. I've got no attention span. I've got a few bits of Soulblight Gravelords, because I very much see, of all the factions, I very much see death as one that you really can mix and match and just go to town with. I want to see skeletons alongside night haunts and so on. So I've got a few boxes of those to build and mix in. Andy Z, thank you very much. Love the rambles, Paul. Thank you. Super chat. Thank you very much, man. Much appreciated. Hope you're doing well. What else have I got? So yes, I've got a few again that came with Mortal Realms. I've got a few what are they called? Flesh Eater Courts. Again, the whole death thing. With a couple of boxed sets I've ended up with, I've got the other half of those box sets. So when building the Hedonites of Slaanesh, which is another one that we have between us, except that's yours, but I think it counts. It's channel. You're on the channel. I managed to find Soul and Shadow, which was a Daughters of Cain versus Hedonites of Slaanesh box. So I've got the other half of the Daughters of Cain, plus one of the recent ones GW sent me has some Daughters of Cain in it. So we've got Daughters of Cain. I know you were looking at those and wanting to paint those up. I'm still answering the.
I know. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's getting late. And I think, touch wood, that's it. Hit me.
Okay, so I think it's worth saying I don't know how to say this, but Chinagot, and I'm sorry if that's wrong, is Warhammer all the way. Really enjoys Warhammer. Not so much the OS, but it's worth saying he really enjoys it. And like Mick says, follow your muse. That's what you need to do. Follow your muse. Grandillo, my only issue with AOS is that it feels like they have homogenized Warhammer with a different rule set rather than different universe. From Grandillo.
Well, so so the AOS system, when they introduced it, was a complete and total departure from Fantasy Battle, which was fairly similar to 40k in the way that most of it worked, apart from the bases and some of the movement side of things. A lot of the core was very similar. When they 8th edited 40k, they took a lot from AOS and put it into 40k. So I don't feel, having played them both, that they're that different. I think they're more similar than it might appear. Is my view. It's all views.
It's all views.
It's all views.
Punk Rats. I've been trying to build goths. Yeah. And when you have two boys die, they have a chance of running away, which feels very un-okay.
Yes, it does. That's one part of the Orc Codex. They have screwed up, narratively speaking. Hate that. Hate that. Hate that. Hate that.
Hate that.
Hate that.
I just wanted to say hello to Texas and Australia. So Texas 7NF is in Texas, and Australia we've got Jonathan. That is pretty cool. Texas and Australia
at the same time.
What do you think? Pretty cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Mick, any Necromunda plans for the channel?
So, yes and no. Mostly no. So when I started doing stuff with, when I became part of the GW reviewer program, I said, I'd like to do mostly 40k, but I'm looking at branching out into Aeronautica, AOS, and Necromunda. And they sent me samples of all of those, except 6 months ago, I had to say to them, stop sending me the Necromunda stuff because I just don't have enough bandwidth to do anything with it at the moment. So I've got I've got a few boxes that I bought, and not very much. I'd love to do it. It's just the time. It's the time. I barely have the time to get the battle reports out for the stuff. I mean, what most people want to see is 40k. And I barely got enough time to get 40k content out, never mind everything else I want to do. So Necromunda, it just has to wait, as does at the moment Star Wars Legion. I will go to Star Wars Legion before I go to Necromunda, let's be quite honest. Yeah. Sorry.
James Wood, do you think they will finally end the Firstborn Marines in 10th?
I might rage quit if they do.
Aaron says,
probably
sorry,
not. Probably.
I thought
sorry.
you'd finished.
I kind of had.
You paused and
I
then
did,
you started again. Trick me.
I think they will conclude. I think they will only do that when they think it won't hurt them. They're probably a necessary inconvenience to them at the moment, but they just know they would have such a backlash if they did that it would be very bad for business. So I think the most profitable thing they do at the moment is maintain the line. So I think it would have to be quite a shift that makes them decide to kill them off. So I don't think so. No, I have finished.
Aaron says, what are your thoughts on the return of the squats? Now, I would say absolutely not, because it makes such a mess, but I'm not thinking it means those squats.
Means Space Dwarves.
Oh, I see. Not what I thought then. No.
I absolutely can't wait. I always, from getting my Dark Millennium box in 2nd edition, I always thought the squats were really cool. I loved the Ancestral Lords. I loved the Force Dome psychic powers. I loved the Exo armor being like Terminator armor, but not quite as good. I loved the idea that they were sort of space mining bikers. And it all goes back to the era of GW says, we don't care what you want. This is what we're going to do. I don't think we're in that era now. I don't think they're right about what we want all the time. But I think they're very much wanting to do what people want. I want squats. I am totally all in, all chips down as soon as the squats come out, and they know it. They know that as soon as the squats come out, it is like printing money. And I'm all over that, baby.
Now, I've got to ask a question. I'm thinking, are Sarah and Mick in the same house? Because they're having a little domestic on here. Because Sarah says, daughters of Cain or a sod to pain.
They're the ones that you like, the snake women.
Oh, the snake women. Yeah. And Mick says, don't concentrate on those. Concentrate on the secret squirrel painting. So I'm wondering if they're in the same house and conversing.
Apparently not. Sarah is at her house. I did notice earlier there was some comment about helping me painting terrain. That would be fantastic if that's a doable thing. That would be awesome. Okay, so thank you, Craig. I've already said yes, thank you as well. Have you? Earlier on. Oh, great. So Craig says he knows you've been asked this thousands of times, but he's just interested in how many armies do you have 40k wise? Roughly. 40k, roughly. Yeah, I can't do a count on that. I think 40k wise, somewhere between 45 and 50 without doing a precise count. Not all playable. A lot of those are in cellophane in boxes because I have a habit of I have a budget, a hobby budget, and I spend it each month. And my budget exceeds my capacity to paint. So I work out armies I want and I buy them. So that I very much like to follow my whims. So when I want to do something, I can go and do it straight away. I don't have to work out. Yeah. So yeah, but playable, I think it's in the high 20s. In total, I think it's around 45 to 50. Yes.
How many? Is that
45 to 50
Oh, is it?
armies.
Oh, right. It just feels more then. Just saying. Extension.
Carry on.
That's it from me. For now. Oh.
Ignore that. That's the thing I can't seem to turn off. The other thing with the buying models is I see it a little bit like hibernating for a hobby winter. Like a bear will eat a huge amount of salmon and become mahosive before having to sleep and have nothing for a long period of time. I've had hobby winters before. I don't like them, so I've been doing my bear acquisition of plastic for any potential hobby winter that may appear around the corner. And on that note,
will we ever see your Blood Angels on the table or channel?
The Blood Angels had a narrow squeak last week. I very nearly played them against the Tyranids with James from March of War. And if I hadn't been so brain screwed at the end of the day playing James and had to get up to play Winters, I was going to take them to play Winters. So they came very, very close. But not for. I don't think I've played them since 6th Ed. I'm more inclined to the armies that I have that I don't feel break narrative, and they don't feel like they break narrative at the moment. So, yeah, they're all right. It's possible. It's possible, but I'll have to spend a good 3 hours dusting them all because they are caked in it. And on that note, before any more questions appear, we are going to call it there. I think. Thank you all for joining us. It has been a fab evening, and apologies it has been so long. A couple of shout outs. Thank you to everyone. Oh wow, sorry, just a second. So just starting off the super chats thing, we've just had one on screen. So Chris Griggs has super chatted. Here's some more to prepare for a hopefully non-existent hobby winter. Thank you, man. That is amazing. Thank you very much. More thanks to other people who've super chatted. So Thunderbolter has super chatted and joined this evening. His responsibility for me being lobster clad earlier. Lexicus, Grandilio, Andy Z, and Chris Griggs. I think that's everyone, is it?
I think so, yeah.
Thank you all very much for your super chats.
Could I just say a massive thank you for sorry, what?
I completely forgot to talk about Paul Fest.
Well, I just wanted to say a massive thank you for Paul Fest. First of all, I was made really welcome by everybody, and that was really lovely. So thank you all so much for that. And it was a really good day. Really looking forward to the next one, the next time we all meet up. So thank you for that. But most of all, thank you for anybody that bought merchandise on the day, because the merchandise on the day was for Ukrainian children. And we raised a massive £210 in merchandise. So thanks to everybody who said keep the change. Thanks to everybody who had Say Hi Paul all over the place on mugs, coasters, all kinds of different things.
And I think I should mention that Crimson spent the week before that event making all the merchandise. You bought all the stuff, and you did all the icons and. What's it called? A circuit machine?
Yeah, cry-cut machine.
Yeah.
That was working very very fast that week before. So thank you for that. And I got a lovely email back from the people that the donation went through, saying, that they were so, pleased and happy with that. So thank you, everyone. And even people that didn't buy merchandise but just donated I'm sure the Ukrainian children will much appreciate it.
Well, to be fair, anyone who tried to just donate, we forced merchandise upon.
Yeah, we did. We did.
We did.
Yeah, we did. And we awarded Kevin with some merchandise as well, because he is a super fan, and he came up with his everything and got Paul's face on it. So we gave Kev some merch which Paul paid for to put in for the Ukrainian children. So lovely Kevin, such a nice bloke. So thank you, Kevin. Yeah, you were a legend. So yeah, just wanted to say a massive thank you.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who contributed for that, and everyone who came to Paul Fest 2. We all had a great day. I had a great day.
I had a great day too, and I had fish and chips.
We had a great day.
We had a great
day.
Yeah, we did.
So screw you guys. We had a great time.
And the AOS First May say Hi Paul Sigmar, I think it's called, isn't it? Yeah, we'll be there in Belper again, and I'm making cake to bring some cash. The Ukrainian children are going to be very happy with us.
Is the cake for Ukrainian children as well? Right, okay.
I've got to do something. So yeah. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So from Adrian Smart, super chatting
Adrian,
for doing such a good deed and supporting a good cause. Thanks,
Adrian,
man.
Thank you.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Almost made Kevin cry. Kevin, you are the first person that's asked for my autograph. I am dead impressed. And thanks for that, Adrian. Thank you so much. It is a good cause. It really, really is. So thank you.
And Mick wants carrot cake.
Carrot cake. Oh, do you know what? I'm good.
Carrot cake is amazing.
I do good carrot cake. Yeah, for the first time I did carrot cake. I will do that special. Any special requests? Put them up there.
From people who are going to be there.
Oh yeah, for people that are going to be there. Not just randomly. But carrot cake, yeah. All right, Mick, I've got that.
All right, folks. Thank you all for joining us. Crimson, thank you once again for all your amazing messaging, righty, organisy goodness, and chat management. And take care, everyone, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now. You want to say bye, Crimson?
Oh, bye, Crimson.
Bye.